Nurse, artist, and mother of three, Brooke Allensworth has been missing for over a year. Her family is worried about her and has many unanswered questions. Media on this case has slowed to barely a trickle at this point. It's time to get people talking about Brooke again. It's time to turn on the searchlight. Hey everybody, John Lorden here. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Brainscratch Searchlight. I'm back from my little bit of time off. I've got another day or two I have to take off at the end of this month, but I'll tell you more about that next week. At this point, I'm ready to dive into a case, and I want to give a very big thank you to Christy Arnhart for taking interest in this case, helping me pull the research together for this episode. This is a bit mysterious in terms of her disappearance. We have her car being located, and then of course searches are focused around that area. I'm wondering if she was with the car at the time that it was dropped at that area. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Tiffany Daniels case or maybe even the Maura Murray case. But let's go ahead and start with NamUs and get the basics out there. Brooke Larson Allensworth, a white Caucasian female, missing from Oil Trough, Arkansas. Date of last contact is July 12th, 2018. She went missing at the age of 37. She would be 38 years old now. It does note that she could be using an alias, Brooke Durham, which was her second married name. She stands at 5 feet 8 inches tall, weighs between 170 to 185 pounds. Circumstances of disappearance, you can see we don't have much here. Last seen in Oil Trough, Arkansas on July 12th, 2018 at 10:38 a.m. For hair color, we have brown. It says a few days before she went missing, she dyed her hair blonde. I'm curious about that. It's just if someone is looking to disappear, could they maybe modify their appearance? But would they really do that before they actually leave? Wouldn't that tip people off? Maybe this was just something she would do. Maybe it was just time to bring a new color to her hair. For eye color, we have blue. And for eye description, it says that she always wears prescription glasses. Now, interestingly, in this picture, we don't see her wearing glasses. In this picture on this missing poster over at Case Warriors, we don't see her wearing glasses at all, but we'll take a look at some other pictures of her with glasses here as well. Ears are pierced. She has a scar on her abdomen. I haven't seen any other better description of what it is. A tattoo on left ribs of GPS coordinates for a location near Newport, Arkansas. And they actually have the location listed here, and they have a picture of the tattoo. I've tried to look this up, and I'm not the best with GPS coordinates, so any of you brain scratchers out there that are familiar with maybe geocaching or even using GPSs for fishing or other things like that, do us a favor and take a look at these coordinates and let us know in the comments down below if you can determine the location. When I try to run it, I'm getting a kickback from the program saying that the number of minutes on this tattoo is incorrect, that it has to be under 60 essentially for the minutes, and it's listed as 97 here. Since we have the original tattoo, a picture of it, we can see it here. It is definitely tattooed as 97 there too. I'm wondering if possibly it was a decimal GPS coordinate, but then the tattoo artist didn't know that and put in the other marks. Like I said, I'm not an expert with GPS coordinates, but seems like something's off with this one. But let us know if you guys are able to get a better result on that. Clothing and accessories, dark blue denim shorts. Description of the top that she is wearing is unknown. And here we get a really strange thing, which I've seen no explanation for in any of the other coverage on this. Wearing two left shoes, one wedge sandal and one flip-flop. That doesn't sound like it would be very comfortable. I mean, even if you were wearing a left shoe and a right shoe, but of the two different types, a wedge sandal and then a flip-flop. But on top of that, to know that they're two left shoes, I'm also wondering if that speaks to maybe the conditions of how she left. It's weird because I don't know where they're coming to that conclusion. I don't know if they're looking through her stuff at home and saying, well, we can see that we can account for everything, but she's got two right shoes here of different types, and the only ones missing are the two left shoes that match those. it reminds me of something I've seen in a case before where someone was worried that a couple might have been fighting because the woman who would eventually be found was missing one of her shoes, and that was actually found at home. So I'm just wondering if there might be something like that happening here, where she was in a rush of some kind due to some type of pressure that was going on in the situation. Maybe she was trying to get away from, and she grabbed two left shoes. It's just a very strange fact, and really don't see it come up in cases too much. For transportation, she did leave in a 2007 Toyota Camry. It's black, and like I mentioned before, it had been found. And here we actually get a bit of better detail about what's going on with this case. Brooke left in her car from Newport, heading to Searcy. On the way, she had a flat, and apparently a passerby used a can of Fix-A-Flat. Now, we have a comment from a family member we're going to cover later. I'm not sure if this story about a passerby is actually accurate or not. The quick fix did not last long, and the tire apparently went flat again. Brooke pulled off the highway and into an area by the bridge just outside of Oil Trough. Brooke hasn't been seen since. Brooke's locked car was found abandoned with a flat tire under Highway 122 near a White River boat ramp in Oil Trough, Arkansas on July 25th, 2018. It did take some time for her family to get the missing persons report filed. As soon as it was filed, basically her car was found, I think, just within a day of that missing person report being filed. We'll get into more details about that as well. And there's some interesting things about where her car is found. There's kind of this story that these comments are pointing to, and I'm also seeing in some of the news articles that they are under the assumption that she's the one that actually drove it to that spot. And I'm not positive why people would assume that right off the bat. We know her car is found there. We know some personal items of hers are found in the car that would more than likely typically be with her, including her cigarettes and her cell phone. Those are left in the car, and the car is locked. Could it be that, she pulled off and tried to stash the car somewhere while she went somewhere to try to get help? Possibly, but why would you not take your phone if you're trying to get help? And being a former smoker myself, I can tell you back at that time, I wasn't leaving my pack of cigarettes anywhere. I was always taking my cigarettes with me wherever I was going. So a couple things look strange to me just in terms of how the vehicle is found. But let's go ahead and continue by learning just a little bit about Oil Trough, Arkansas. Now, this is where her vehicle's found. As that comment mentioned, she actually lived in Searcy, and we'll go through a map to figure all this out too. Oil Trough is a town in Independence County, Arkansas, United States. The population was 260 at the 2010 census. So we're talking very, very small town. Oil Trough is located on the south bank of the White River along Arkansas Highway 14 between Elmo, about 4 miles to the east, and Rosie, 5 miles to the west. Arkansas Highway 122 crosses the White River about 1 mile east of the community and connects to Newark about 5 miles to the north. So that's another thing that's kind of unfortunate when we're talking about a case like this. Essentially, where that bridge crosses the White River is where her vehicle is, and we're hearing that that's really about 1 mile east of the community. And we're already talking about a very, very small community. So chances that someone might see what was happening around there, I think, are definitely slimmer than we see in a lot of other cases we look at. We're talking about a low population and that she's kind of away from the main community. There is the river, so I guess it could be certainly possible that maybe people that are using the river or boating or doing other things out there might see something. Her car is fairly close to it. It might be a little obscured. It's close to a boat launch, but there's kind of shrubs and stuff around it. But we don't have a lot of great opportunity for people to actually see what's going on, a year ago at this point. Over at KAIT8.com, we get some pictures of the river here and where her vehicle would be found. I've got some better shots we'll get to later. July 31st, 2018, a missing woman's car shows up nearly 3 weeks after her family says she vanished. The Independence County Sheriff's Office say Brooke Allensworth car was found abandoned under a rural bridge last Friday. This is a pretty decent shot of it here. There's some interesting questions that come up when you look at this in terms of the map, but the main one for me is just if she really had a flat, if she was really in need of help, why is the car parked down here kind of away from the traffic of the bridge and in a spot where Most people, if you were just driving over the bridge, might not even see that there's a car down there. There's certain aspects of this that feel like it was a dump site, that the car was actually dumped at that location in a manner to, maybe it's not the best hiding job ever, but it's kind of a public parking lot. You wouldn't necessarily know if a car shouldn't be there or not. And especially, when you look at this, you might say, well, it'd be better if they parked it right under the bridge, then no one would see it. Or look at this brush over here. They could have parked it in the brush and really hit it. Yeah, but if it is a boat ramp and there are people that go there regularly, it would, I think, stand out if it was not parked properly. So looks like it's kind of parked properly, but certainly in an odd place just in terms of there being a vehicle emergency. It really doesn't make sense. The mother of three was last seen near Newark and Oil Trough. Allensworth's dad told us his daughter was at a salon getting her nails and hair done the day before vanishing. Her father filed a missing person report last Thursday with Searcy Police. The Independence County Sheriff's Office filed a separate missing persons report. So this is interesting because we have the family filing a missing persons report with where she lives. We then have the Independence County Sheriff saying, well, this actually happened in this area, so we're going to file a separate missing persons report for this. On Thursday, Independence County had a 22-person search party looking for Allensworth both on the river and in the woods near where her car was found. An airplane was used to search the area on Wednesday and Thursday, and cadaver dogs were brought out Thursday evening. Sheriff Stevens says, what few leads we've gotten, we've looked into, and we've run into dead ends. We haven't found anything. We haven't found anything to suggest foul play, but any information is welcome. We want people to call us, and if they have any information, we'll definitely look into it. Moving on to whiterivernow.com with an article from August 2nd, 2018. And here we have a picture of her wearing glasses, which, like the NamUs profile pointed out, is probably how you'd more typically see her. Independence County Sheriff Sean Stevens said the situation is still a mystery to him. The investigation so far shows Brooke Allensworth leaving in her car from Newport to go to Searcy. On the way, she had a flat, and apparently a passerby used a can of Fix-A-Flat to get her going again. The quick fix didn't last long. Does this sound familiar? I think this was pretty much lifted for the NamUs profile. The tire apparently went flat again. She pulled off the highway and into an area by the bridge just outside Oil Trough. The sheriff said when his deputies were called to the area, they found the car abandoned with a flat tire. Allensworth could have been picked up by someone, according to Stevens, or she could have took to the river. I'm not sure exactly what that quote means, but anytime we have a missing persons case, it's very concerning when we have a water source nearby, and we have the car found right at the water source, basically. So certainly something to be concerned about here. Just looking at a map of this, I'm kind of curious why she wound up in Oil Trough if she was going from Newport to Searcy. Most direct route for doing that would be to take the 67, drive that all the way down. Swinging out to Oil Trough looks like it's actually adding maybe not considerable, but at least a few miles kind of swinging out that direction. So this is already, once again, odd to me. If you tell me she's going from Newport to Searcy and we're seeing a person that deviates like this, what else is going on? Is she the one driving the car at this point? Is there another stop that we don't know about? Is there someone else that she's going to meet up with? Let's zoom in on the actual location so we can talk about, here's the 122 bridge. And if we hit the satellite view, you can see there's the parking lot and boat launch that kind of kick off to the left side of the 122, right where it comes up to the White River. And you can actually see the boat launch just barely through the brush right there. So this is where her vehicle would be found, and kind of in this first position out here. And like I said, it's just interesting because if she's pulling off the road in an effort to get help of some kind, look how far she had to travel. Just eyeballing it with the 100 feet indicator that Google has on the map down here, that's got to be close to 1,000 feet that she has driven after pulling off here. And like I said, how's she going to get help there? Well, she does have a cell phone. Is it possible she called for someone and they came and got her to help her, and then something happened after that? Quite possibly, but once again, why wouldn't she have the phone with her? How did the phone get left in the car? You would have to assume that things went south or things got bad, basically right where the person was picking her up. I don't know why you leave a car there. Once again, to me, it looks like a spot where you're going to stash it in an effort to hide it for a couple days while things cool down or something along those lines. But we do have, it's a very considerable water source that we're looking at there. And we know they've been searching, but they haven't found anything. So here's where the car was left. Basically the last parking spot. Honestly, I'm not even sure if it's a real parking spot. The way the lines are drawn here, I don't think it's actually a real parking spot, because the handicap parking should be the one closest to the boat launch, and that's right here. It's parked in this area, which has a line on one side that's kind of making the triangle for the handicap parking. But I don't know if that's even an official parking spot. It's kind of weird. But that is where the vehicle's found, kind of right up. One tire is even kind of in the dirt there. And we can see a shot of the flat here. The other thing that we don't know in this case is, was the tire actually flat at the time that she was driving it? Is it possible that she went to this area to meet up with someone about something else completely different? Things might have gone south, or she was kidnapped or abducted or something of that nature. And over the next few weeks, that tire eventually flattens out because it hasn't been repaired properly. I think that's something we should look at. You can't really tell from this photo in particular, but I'd be really curious to know if the rim showed any signs of wear from it being driven on. We've got no detail about that. Also, the tire. When tires are flat like this, if you're driving on it with the rim, I'm pretty sure you'd be leaving an indentation or maybe even some damage in the rubber. I don't know if any analysis like that has been done on this, but those are things I'm certainly curious about. Was this tire actually flat at the time that she went missing, or did air escape after the car was sitting there for a period of time? Over to KATV.com. The family tells KATV they believe something went terribly wrong and they're seeking answers. She's very vivacious, energetic, always had a big smile, beautiful, Jason Blue said of his cousin Allensworth. Anyone that has anything, knows anything, please reach out and contact the Independence County Sheriff's Office, Blue said. As always, contact information is in the description box below, and there's a couple different agencies working on the case at this point, so I'll include everything I can down there. Allensworth's cell phone and a pack of cigarettes were inside her locked car. Blue adds that Allensworth's disappearance is taking a toll on her 3 children. Everyone at this point in time, he says, is just bewildered and wondering if she may have gotten mixed up with the wrong people. We don't know where we should turn or what we should do next, he added. Back over to whiterivernow.com with an article from August 17th, 2018. Same shot of her wearing the glasses. A detective with the Independence County Sheriff's Department says it has been a dead end everywhere authorities have looked for a missing woman, 37-year-old Brooke Allensworth. So as we can see, we're coming up on a month after they were notified, over a month since she's actually been missing, and we've got nothing for updates. We've basically got the same few quotes that have come out of the sheriff. I did see one video clip where it was mentioned that authorities were trying to get in contact with the person that was last known to be with her, and they were having some trouble doing that. And they insinuated that this person might have like a criminal background or some reason why they don't want to interact with the police. And they were basically trying to tell them, hey, look, we don't care about what else is going on. We're just trying to find this woman. We just need to talk to you. I don't know who that person is. There's no mention of it in these articles. It's literally just in a newscast video clip that I saw on YouTube, but I'll have a link to that down below as well. We then get a message from Brooke's family that is put out at the end of August. We would like to express our gratitude to all those who show concern, kneel in prayer, actively seek answers, and continue to love Brooke with such relentless kindness and compassion. We are committed to never allowing Brooke's voice and contagious spirit to be lost beneath the weight of time or hidden from view as old news. We ask that you will continue to help us search, continue to help us cling to hope, and continue to help us love our daughter, mother, sister, and friend. Very touching message. So I did see reference to an article that talked about one potential aspect that was looked into early on. but the article was gone. Thanks to Web Archive, I've been able to bring it back. So this was originally posted at thedailycitizen.com. Arkansas State Police are investigating. Bill Sadler, Public Information Officer for the state police, said that the state agency is assisting with the investigation. He said, while there is an active investigation and search for Allensworth, records of this department indicated the Arkansas State Police is working in a secondary role to assist the case. Sadler named the Searcy Police Department as the leading agency, but Searcy Police said, "This is not our case." The family originally filed the report with us because this is where she lived, said Lieutenant Steve Hernandez, Public Information Officer for the Searcy Police Department. Once it was figured out that her car was found in Independence County, they started the investigation. So this is kind of weird because we heard the articles earlier that basically these two missing persons reports are starting at the same time in these two different departments. Now we're kind of hearing, yeah, but Searcy basically just kind of handed off. And we have Arkansas State Police that are actually getting involved here, which might be pointing to something else going on with this case. Maybe it's not as localized in terms of a missing person as we originally thought. My understanding is that we did transfer the case to the state police, said Aaron Moody, Independence County Chief Deputy. So we've actually, we're talking about three different agencies now here. We've got Searcy, where she lived, saying, nope, it's not ours. It belongs to Independence County. We've got the state police that are now trying to at least assist on this case. And we have Independence County saying, an investigator's been working with a couple of ours getting all the information, and anything we get is forwarded to the state police for them to look into. That's my understanding of it. This makes me really uncomfortable because we have all these different departments. Nope, it's not us, it's them, that department. Well, yeah, it's kind of us, but the state police. So we're sending everything to the state police, but the state police is saying we're only working on this in a assisting capacity, in a secondary role to assist on this case. So who is the lead agency? An article like this, if I was the family, would completely freak me out. And maybe that's why it has been pulled by the Daily Citizen. I'm not sure. Moody said the case was forwarded to the larger agency because the incident possibly took place over 2 or 3 counties, and the state police has statewide jurisdiction. Aubrey Allensworth said, that's her father, that he receives communications about his daughter's case from the state police. They told me not to talk about it. All I can tell you is that she has not been found. Aubrey said at the time of the report that she may be in the area of Batesville, Newport, Jacksonport, or Searcy. He said that she was either last seen in the Newark and Newport area July 10th and possibly July 12th in Searcy after having a disagreement with her estranged ex-husband, Brad Durham. Brooke's father said Thursday that her last name is Durham, but since she divorced, she is going by her maiden name, Allensworth. Allensworth said if anyone in Searcy saw or spoke to his daughter July 12th, he urges them to come forward. The main thing is if anybody has information that might help us, that would be great, he said. Always concerning when we hear of a missing person and there's a fight between someone that they have a close relationship with before they go missing. But this is literally the only thing that I've seen even mentioning that there was some type of disagreement that she was having with her ex-husband, Brad. And, obviously this article has been pulled down for some reason. I'm not sure if it's because of the agencies all doing this pointing that way thing, or if they didn't feel it was appropriate to have Brad named for some reason in their article. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but I can't see anyone else that's even mentioned that particular aspect. And the time frame here is kind of loose. We're hearing she might have been in this area July 10th. We think that this actually doesn't even make sense that she was in Searcy on July 12th. Doesn't necessarily make sense for where we find her car, unless she actually did make it home first, and then something happened, and then her car was driven out to that area. I don't know. There's the mechanics of the trip don't feel right to me in a few different ways. So maybe that does make more sense that she was back in Searcy earlier in the day. I'm not sure. But then we get this comment from her sister, but her sister never went through the verification process with web sleuths, so we need to take this with a little bit of a grain of salt, but I have seen her name come up in some of the articles as well. I was told by the person who put fix-a-flat in her tire, it was a good friend, and it was on the 11th at a girl's house he has kids with. And Brooke just dated, I think she means Brooke dated him for about a month. Not sure. She supposedly left her house early morning on the 12th. So that kind of, once again, makes a little more sense in the first story we heard. If she wasn't traveling from Newport directly to Searcy, but she was actually home earlier that day. I don't know if something goes on down here or she goes out to meet with someone. Maybe then the car has the trouble, but I would assume that if she's heading in this direction, she's probably not looking to meet up with someone necessarily in Newport. It's a little too out there unless she was doing a stop somewhere else. I'm not certain. A lot of weird pieces to this case. Over at thv11.com, December 21st, 2018, this is one of the last articles I could actually find on this. One Arkansas family has been waiting for answers for 5 months. Allensworth is a beloved mother of 3, a nurse, and a talented artist. The investigation into her disappearance has somewhat stalled with no new leads or suspects, so family and friends have organized a search party. They plan to meet at the White River Boat Access Ramp on Highway 122 Saturday morning, December 22nd at 10 a.m. I don't think they found anything, obviously, because there's no updates in the news about it. There is an article that comes out July 2019 at nbcnews.com. A little bit of a retouch on the case, really nothing in terms of new information. Sheriff Stevens is quoted here. It was like it was just parked there and walked away from. The keys were not in the car, and we have no information on who put it there. So at least in this quote, it seems like he's thinking of the possibility that she was not the one that actually drove it to that spot. Sheriff Stevens added that some of Brooke's personal belongings were found inside the car. There was no sign of a struggle. Outside of the cigarettes and the cell phone, I don't know what other personal items were found in the car. I haven't seen any mention of her purse. So could there be some robbery motivation in this? Possibly. Brooke, we need you to come home, her sister Kelly Avance told KARK. I know that in my heart she would not hurt herself, and she has never gone this long without having contact. So brain scratchers, this is where I turn it over to you guys. What do you think is going on with this case? If you have friends in the Arkansas area, please share this video with them. We want to raise exposure and try to help this family get the answers that they're searching for. I hope that the confusion between the law enforcement agencies has been worked out at this point. I would hope and think that it probably has been, especially after that article came out. I don't think anyone that works for any of those agencies could have felt great about how those quotes were put together in that way. It really made it seem like no one knew who was in charge there. But it's really interesting that we've got the state police trying to help on this. I don't know if Independence is still the lead on it. The NBC article kind of makes it look that way, considering that we have the sheriff that's commenting there. But this is a case that needs help. That's why we're here doing this, and that's why I need your help as well. Let's share this video, and if you're a person that has information about this case, please, please, please use those contact details in the description box below. Send that information in, and let's help this family, 3 children that don't know where their mother are. Let's help them find the answers that they're looking for. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Searchlight. Once again, a very big thank you to Christy Arnhart. Really appreciate the help on this one, Christy. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you back here on Friday with a brand new episode of Brainscratch on the Lord and Arts channel.